think why America won't be subject to that. In the last program, when we talked about New Jersey with those 2 Coptic Christians being beheaded there, is proof. More of this is going on in America all the time, and I'm trying to make people aware. And here, I want to play this other little clip for you, which is how the government treats us. So if this starts happening sooner rather than later, and Christians in America start getting persecuted, and they don't allow the Constitution or a Bill of Rights to protect us, what is the government going to do? What is their attitude about this whole thing? Let's listen to this clip. I'll be right back.
The convergence of globalization and technology has created a new brand of terrorism. There were persons who, for whatever reason, came to view their home country as the enemy.
The kind of right-wing, religious-based domestic terrorism.
Disturbing news tonight about homegrown terror.
Part of this is big change in the White House, a new cultural experience, and some of the crazies are coming out of their closet.
Right now, it looks like there is no connection between the men arrested and any known terrorist cell.
Homegrown.
Homegrown, I should say.
Folks, we've got a very serious situation here. I'm holding what is called the right-wing extremism, current economic and political climate, fueling resurgence and radicalization and recruitment. And in it, we talked about the fact that they define pro-lifers as domestic terrorists. They put this in a Department of Homeland Security document, this official assessment, now saying pro-lifers, people that believe in end-time prophecies, people that are opposed to the administration's position on immigration, those of us that are standing up for the sanctity of life and for the sanctity of marriage, all of those are now potential, and this is what they're saying, domestic terrorists.
It's a terrorist next door that could be our bigger threat.
They call people who believe in the sanctity of life, who believe in owning firearms, who believe in serving their country in the military and coming back, who are very concerned about the policies that this nation is embarking on, spending too much money, taxing too much. It's all listed right here. These are the domestic right-wing extremists.
1 million names under the watchful eye of the United States. America's so-called terrorist watch list has hit the record number, according to one of the country's most prominent civil liberties groups.
That's a lot of people to keep track of. They're adding new people all the time.
It's a secret list that you don't know really quite how one gets on, and you don't know how you get off.
They're coming out and profiling huge groups of people. You know, if you voted for a certain political candidate, you should be considered a potential threat. And you couple that with things like the Patriot Act, where if you are a threat in their eyes, you can be held without access to judge, jury, and without access to a lawyer or even to your family. That's very concerning because we've watched our country go through and do this to brown people, you know, overseas. They're rounding up enemy combatants and they're putting them in camps and they are torturing them. That is a fact. We know that.
In Missouri, a new document meant to help Missouri law enforcement agencies identify militia members or domestic terrorists has drawn criticism. The February 20 report, called the Modern Militia Movement, mentions such red flags as political bumper stickers for third-party candidates, such as Ron Paul, who ran for president, talk of conspiracy theories, such as the plan for a superhighway linking Canada to Mexico, and possession of subversive literature. So the state police of Missouri have been told that if you see a car with a bumper sticker that opposes the so-called creation of North American Union, the superhighway, that you are probably following a militia member, that you are following an anti-government radical. If you see a car with a bumper sticker that says Ron Paul for president, you might be dealing with a violent radical. Exercise extreme caution.
We do know that 28% of their funding comes from the Department of Homeland Security. This is not the first time that a report has been issued to Missouri law enforcement and surrounding fusion centers in other states by the MIAC Center.
Previously, there have been several reports, such as the MIAC report in the state of Missouri, but this is the first time that a report such as this actually named individuals. Once you label someone in a derogatory manner, an extremist, a potential militia member, terrorist, whatever term is used, for some people the moniker will remain. Before you can persecute a people, before you can incarcerate large numbers of people, you have to marginalize them. You have to create the image that these people are dangerous to society, or they're extremists or radicals, call them what you will, but marginalize them from the mainstream of society so that at that point the rest of society will accept the persecution that might result upon this group. It's been an age-old strategy that's worked in every totalitarian regime in the history of the world, and that's why we're concerned here in the United States when we see this kind of marginalization going on about people who voted for Ron Paul or people who voted for Chuck Baldwin. Now, why are they being marginalized? Why are they being singled out as a potential danger to society? And I think it's shades of the strategies and tactics of totalitarian regimes in history past, and that should never happen in this country.
The people in Washington, D.C. haven't represented what was on the American people's minds for a long, long time. They are the most disassociated, discombobulated, disconnected people on this planet. And they necessarily had to do that for all the violations of the Constitution that they've done.
Just how far are you willing to go before you stand up and say no more to the federal government?
All right, my friends, I have gone way over time on this. I didn't plan on spending this much time on this subject alone because I have a couple other things that we're going to talk about during the program today. And the first one is, what are the heavens telling us? What are the skies telling us? What's happening in the heavens that's so incredibly unusual? You know, when the Pope announced that he was going to resign from office, you know, the Vatican was hit by lightning. There's a video on YouTube about it, and it shows the Vatican being hit by lightning. It may just be coincidental, but you know, when it happened, I went, "Oh, well," it kind of raises your eyebrows. And we have this increase of UFO sightings. Now, I'm not saying that I support or I'm in favor of or that I even believe in extraterrestrials, but what I am saying is the Bible says that we will have things happening, wonders in the sky, and a lot of these things are really wonders when you see these things. Some of these, you know, you're looking at this saying, "Oh, what's going on here?" And you know, for some of you people who are into the whole UFO idea, I'm sure that right now you're screaming, "We've been telling you for a long time." And yeah, you have, but this number has increased. You know, always in the past, these have been pictures and videos that for some odd reason were always fuzzy, or it was foggy, or you know, you could never really make anything out. But that's changing. We're starting to see wonders in the sky, and not only through UFO sightings or through strange lightning strikes, but also weather that's coming. Let's face it, from the skies. The weather phenomenons, and don't say global warming. Even though it might be climate change, I don't believe it's man-made. That's the biggest bunch of hooey I ever heard. But that's a subject that we're going to get into. And I also want to cover something else. After we talk about all of these things that are happening in the sky, all of the birds dropping out of the sky dead with no explanation, you know, whether or not there's a cover-up of that, what might be causing this. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But I also want to talk about Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Now, through this one verse, pestilence is mentioned once in this one verse, and it's just one word. He just says pestilence. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence. Well, famines and pestilence. And we're on the verge of the famine, as we know, with GMOs and consolidating all of our food supply into like 3 major companies. So if something happens to these major companies, or the decisions they make depletes our food supply, then the small farmer that, the backyard garden and the person who has 10 or 20 acres and grows food, all of those people have diminished over the last few years down to almost zero, where we are really depending on these people. And pestilence is what we're going to talk about also a little bit here in a little bit. And that's through these superbugs, because we have an outbreak of these superbugs. Now, part of this is because, in my opinion, because of the drug companies. The drug companies are pushing all of their drugs because they are so incredibly greedy. It's not even funny how greedy these people are. They want everyone to be on some kind of drug. Well, with the use of antibiotics being passed out like jelly beans, then all of these bugs have developed a resistance, because everybody, the doctor just gives these things to everybody. Doctors, not all, but a lot of doctors now just will pass out whatever the patient demands. And that's why you see drug commercials on TV. They're saying, ask your doctor about this. Go ask your doctor. Then they go to the doctors, and they say, we'll give you a kickback for all of these that you pass out. So they've got the patient coming in and asking for these things. I need an antibiotic for this. I want the antibiotic. Well, the doctor's saying, well, the antibiotic won't hurt you, and I'll get this little kickback, so here you go, and he writes out a script for it. There you go. We're going to talk about that too. But I have neglected to take the necessary break. These are the 2 subjects we're going to talk about when I come right back. I need to play these short commercials. We're going to come back, and we're going to start with what's going on in the skies, what's going on with the lightning and these superstorms and with the birds falling out, and is there a cover-up going on here? We're going to discover that when we come back in just a minute. Don't go away. You're listening to W. Dean Shook, In Time, Prophecy News, and Current Events. Stay tuned. Professional identity thieves constantly search your information for vulnerabilities. At LifeLock, relentless protection of your identity is their primary mission. They help ensure that you stay ahead of identity thieves. LifeLock is first in the industry to offer proactive identity theft protection. They're level 1 compliant under the payment card industry data security standards. They have direct access to fraud resolution teams within their extensive network of lenders and service providers. They are experts through leadership with internationally recognized experts in privacy and security, technologies, fraud, and criminal methods. They also partnership with FBI law enforcement and the National Organization for Victims Assistance. Sign up today at WDeanShook.com and receive a 30-day free trial and 10% off your final purchase. The W. Dean Shook program has partnered with LifeLock to make sure your identity remains safe and secure, guaranteed. Get your 30-day free trial of LifeLock's industry-leading protection at WDeanShook.com. That's WDeanShook.com. GoDaddy offers everything you need to make a name for yourself on the web, from domain names and website builders to complete e-commerce solutions.
we've earned our place as the world's #1 accredited